Hey guys, welcome in. Welcome in. It is I don't make videos like these very often. Because I don't know, I just don't. But it's something new that we're gonna be trying. First and foremost, welcome to the channel. If you like what you see here, like, comment, subscribe, all that happy horse shit. Come follow me on Twitch. Link in the description. Anyway, today is a very important today is going to be my beginning experiences of Final Fantasy XIV: A Realm Reborn. um I don't know how long we've been playing now. I don't have like my first 100 days or anything like that. Um so I'm just giving the outlook that I have as a new player coming from World of Warcraft. um and how I feel after completing the opening intro expansion. Now, I went into this expecting not to. I had very low expectations. Let's put it that way. A lot of people, whenever you get into Final Fantasy XIV, they say the same thing. They say, A Realm Reborn is the hardest part. It's a slog. You got to get through A Realm Reborn to get to the good stuff in Heaven's Ward, and so on and so forth. It's very slow pace. It's very meh. So I went into this with very low expectations because that's kind of what's told of you. But going into the game, I was pleasantly surprised, but there were a few things that do need to kind of be said. And I'm going to kind of make this completely objective. I may anger a few people who are fans of the Final Fantasy franchise, or Final Fantasy XIV franchise, because I know that this community is very vocal about criticism. And of course, now we're gonna hear my cat that's gonna meow. Good God, I'm gonna fucking kill this cat. I can't. Oh my God. Well, we're gonna have to edit that out. Anyway, all right. So, right out the gate, beginning player experience. I will say, I found it a little jarring that the opening cinematic, right, of A Realm Reborn was like part of the main title screen UI. I already posted my reaction video to the opening A Realm Reborn cutscene, um, and uh, I loved it. I thought it was great. I thought it was very well done. But uh, I think it would have better served if you put that in the game, like in the actual story, like when you create your character, launch your character, have that happen. Because I didn't know it was there until a viewer told me about it, and then we watched it. And I feel like that opening cinematic kind of has a lot of um scene setting for the overarching story and where the story goes. In A Realm Reborn, it shows the war between the Garleans and the Eorzeans, and it shows Dalamud exploding and Bahamut bashing out and blowing the world up, and all of this stuff, and you don't witness any of that in the main scenario quests at all. You just hear about it, which I know that's kind of for design, because when this game relaunched, I guess it was originally, a different thing or something. I don't know. I know Yoshi P like blew the world up, but I guess that was his apocalyptic event. I'm not going to get into it. But I do think as the beginning player experience, I would have appreciated it more not having to hunt for that tidbit of story. Just because it kind of sets the scene. As far as generalized uh tutorials and knowing how to do what you're doing, I will say this: there's good and bad. On one hand, I did appreciate the fact that the tooltips in a lot of the abilities showed you what comboed into what to do more damage, what positionals you had, things like that. I did appreciate that, but I will say this: if I hadn't came from an MMO and this was my first foray into an MMO, um, it would have been difficult to pick up a little bit, because when you start out, you just have, and I'm playing on PC. I don't know what it's like for controller, but when you first start out, you just have the 2 action bars, and that's it. And you actually have to fuck with the HUD layout and like set it up the right way in order to like make it at least feasible, because you have so many different abilities and buttons and stuff that you got to worry about, that like those 2 action bars just doesn't work very well. And I see it being even a bigger problem in the later expansions when you have more abilities on top of it, you know, just the level 50 abilities, and I'm over here like trying to pick and choose where I'm going to put everything on my action bar. So I do think that maybe a better explanation or a better layout on the HUD would be very nice. I know it does have active help entries, but that's also another thing I wanted to get into, is that there's so many active help entry pop-ups. I eventually just turned it off and just relied on chat and my own knowledge of MMOs to kind of make it through that kind of stuff. But anyway, I will say that all in all, I do think that the beginning player experience, those hiccups aside, I thought was very well done. You know, you're introduced to the city state you're chosen. You get a nice little intro to the city where you get to go and explore. You get to find the etherite and find out where the vendors are and everything. You get to find out where your job hall is and everything, and it kind of lays that out for you. So that you kind of at least have a tentative idea of where everything is. I do think that that's very well done. It's a good setup, especially because they kind of tie it in, and that's another thing that I want to get into later. But I will say that the as a new player coming from WoW, it was easy for me to pick up because I come from WoW. There's not a lot of core differences in the 2 games overall, right? It's an MMO. You got your abilities, you level up, you get more abilities, you kill monsters, you do quests, you know. But uh the thing that I did appreciate is the fact that it did have a few little tidbits of good and informative things that honestly, if it wasn't there, I probably wouldn't have picked up on it. So I did appreciate that. As for graphics, the game's beautiful. Now, and it's my understanding it's getting a graphical update in Dawn Trail, so it's going to look even better. But honestly, for a game that's been out for as long as what this has, um, the graphics are pretty decent and not bad at all. I will say that there is some like graininess to the grass and like to some of the graphics on top of each other, but the like that's like very minor, you know. For the most part, this game is stunning, especially whenever you get into some of the fights. Like whenever I went and fought some of the primals that you fight, and the cinematic of that, and the glamour of the exploding AoE abilities and the crazy you know, scenes that happen just in the main scenario quests. I mean, your opening cinematic, you know, where like you stand there and you're fighting the shadow Asian and everything, and like that whole thing was very well done. I thought the graphics are beautiful, and I'm really looking forward to how it advances as it goes on, and I'm very much looking forward to the graphical update in Dawn Trail, and how much better the game is hopefully going to look. So I mean, there's not much to say about graphics other than I was very much impressed. I do like the graphics. Gameplay wise, so gameplay, we've like there's things I like about the gameplay, things I don't like about the gameplay. I will say, um, combat wise, seems a little slow. Now I know it's still early, so I don't have like my full kit of abilities. But I leveled as a monk for the majority of A Realm Reborn, and I didn't really feel like I had a lot to do until I got to like the late 40s, when I started getting like all of the different things. Now, granted, like I said, I know that's going to get different. I hear monk is like a crazy ability. I mean, a crazy job in the later parts. Um, but the uh the A Realm Reborn experience overall pretty basic. But again, it's only level 50. The max level is 90. So I guarantee you all these jobs that I'm thinking are very simplistic are probably going to get a lot more complicated. So I'm not knocking that. I'm just saying right now it's hard for me to judge like combat wise uh what I think. I will say that the GCD being slower was a little bit of an adjustment because the global cooldown in WoW is a lot less. So, you know, you get abilities and you press abilities more. But I also noticed that I think like your goal is to hit your off global cooldown abilities while your global cooldown is running so that you're constantly hitting buttons. I kind of figured that out while I was playing Monk. So I kind of put two and two together on that, and it made it a little bit better. But I'm very intrigued to see how the combat evolves over time. Um, as far as the dungeons and the crazy amount of uh, things in those, I will say most of the dungeons very bland in A Realm Reborn. And I've ran them a bunch ad nauseum. I've leveled, so as of right now at the recording of this video, I have leveled every job with the exception of Lancer, Thaumaturge, and I think that's it. Lancer and Thaumaturge. Every other job is level 50 that I can get right now, with the exception of Paladin, which I am leveling right now, and it's already at 40, so I'll have that at 50 here soon. Um, I've also been playing around with all the crafting and gathering professions as well. I don't have all those at 50 or anything yet, but I have tried them all out. And I'm gonna get into that whole thing here in a second. But as far as like the combat jobs, um, I love the diversification of the different kinds of jobs. I like how every job feels unique and different and significant. And like every time I go to play one, I don't feel like I'm playing a copy paste version of the one that I had previously. And that's kind of something that WoW struggles with. Like, if you play a warlock and then you go and play a mage, you feel like you're just playing a warlock without pets. In my opinion, in WoW. Same thing with like warrior and death knight. If you're playing a death knight, you're just a warrior with ghouls and diseases. So like you don't feel different in WoW. In 14, I feel different. If I'm playing my monk and I swap over to warrior, I feel different. Or even if I keep it in the same realm, if I play monk and I swap over to ninja, it feels different. Like the gameplay feels significantly different and engaged and intuitive. And I really love that. I think that's really cool. I think that's really well done. And I think that that's only going to get better. I'm really excited to unlock the other jobs. Dark Knight being one that I'm very much interested in. Machinist looks cool as shit. Astrologian, I'm not a huge healer, but I'm gonna level it anyway. Um, I'm looking forward to all of these different jobs that are going to be unlocked as I go through the MSQ. But I will say that the jobs that I've played right now really really cool, really well done. And I love the fact that every single one of them have their own basic story that goes with it too. I thought that was cool. As for the crafters and the gatherers, crafting and gathering is a whole nother thing and a whole nother wormhole compared to WoW. So like for anybody who doesn't play WoW, I'm trying to keep this video as short as possible. But for anybody who doesn't play WoW, I'll just kind of like give like a very short statement. In WoW, professions go like this. If it's a gathering profession, go find node, click on node, you get item, you move to next node. Crafting is literally get your materials, make the item done. If you want to make like anything like cooking, because culinarian is in Final Fantasy 14, in WoW, you get, bread and you get 3 mats, you can make this, right? Well, in 14, Like, you have to go fishing to get the fish you need. You got to go, and you need to get level botanist and go farm out the fruit you need. You need to, go to certain vendors and get the salts and the everything so you can cook a proper meal. And then they actually have their own abilities that go with it, that like works with quality. It's so much more involved and intuitive and engaged. I've never been a huge profession fan in MMOs because I'm not a grinder. But this seems like something I can get on board with, and I might actually turn into an Omnicrafter. I'm not gonna lie, it's been fun. I've been toying with it. It's something that's like a good. You can lose yourself in hours of doing that. I can see, but the gameplay itself, very well done. One other note on the gameplay that I did want to make is, I do like the fact that in dungeons and trials, if there's like a big danger zone, it shows you with like the little orange circle or orange lines. And I think that's very well done. However, I'm looking forward to it being more engaging. Primals and dungeons were not very engaging to me because it was literally just smack the target. Oh, there's a circle. Let me move out. It's done. Well, let me move back in. Keep smacking the boss. I think the most engaged one I had, to be honest, was Ratatan at Cape Westwind. That one was super fun. I had a blast with that. That was cool. Livia was cool. Gaius was cool. La Habrea was cool. Like some of the end game, but the primals were very meh. I think the only primal that I really got into was I really liked Titan. His fight was a lot of fun, and I really enjoyed Shiva's soundtrack was a banger, but the fight itself was boring as shit. But I mean, yeah, most of the primals were very, very lackluster, although very cinematically pleasing. I'm looking forward to it improving. Like I said, I'm aware that this is the beginning of the story. This is where things started. So I expected that. Anyway, moving on because I don't want to make this video too long, and we're getting into the big meat potatoes of this video, and that's the story. The story of Final Fantasy XIV is the most regaled thing across this MMO. Everybody says the story is just top tier. And playing through Realm Reborn, post a Realm Reborn, and the Binding Coils of Bahamut, and the Crystal Tower series, we have done all of that. So I've done every bit of story-based, as well as Hildebrand. I've done all of the relevant story content up to the launch of Heaven's Ward now. I'm going to start with the negatives. Okay? And it might piss a few people off. 1, pacing is a problem, and I hope they fix it. I think it's a really, really weird thing when we're like, oh my god, Garuda is gonna destroy the world. We need to find corrupted crystals to break her barrier so that we can get to her and beat her. But let's go ahead and take the player out of that experience and out of that exigent emergency circumstance and make them go on 3 separate fetch quests that lead absolutely nowhere, that literally laugh at itself by the 3rd one, and then put people back in. Like, that right there, I get it. It was like, I think it was a means of like grinding more experience maybe, but it was unnecessary. And it's like, you had this, oh no, Garuda has been summoned, we have to stop her. Oh no, we need a corrupted crystal, we need to go find one. Oh no, we have 3 different people that are going to waste our time before we go and do it. Like, kind of a problem. They did the same thing with Titan as well. And that one was worse even, when they're like, Titan has been summoned and he's only been slain once by the company of heroes, and we need to figure out how to beat him. And we find the guy who beat him. and the guy makes us fetch wine and cheese and eggs, and you literally go through like hours of fucking quests before you finally fight Titan. And I'm like, I feel like there's a bigger problem here, man. Like, what? Like the pacing was so wild for me on that. Like, and I really hope they improve on that in the later expansions, and I feel like they will. Again, I'm aware this is the starting point, but like the pacing in A Realm Reborn was the biggest thing. I found myself laughing at it so much. Also, I feel like I'm reading a book a lot of the times when I'm reading dialogue. And I know that's par for the course, long story, a lot of dialogue, but I think it would benefit from more voice acting. I know that their budget in A Realm Reborn was low, but I think that more voice acting would be nice. Better voice acting would be nice. Some of the voice acting was very cringe. But like the story itself, like the story at its basis though, like fucking banger. Like, I'll, without giving too many spoilers in case anybody, I mean anybody who decided to see a review, you're gonna hear some spoilers, so spoiler alert. But I'm gonna try to like keep it to a minimum. But um I think that it's great. Like the story in this game so far is miles ahead of miles ahead of WoW in a huge portion. You have a determined enemy. Well, not from the rip, but you have a determined enemy. Um, you have character development with your own personal character as well as key character points. I think the superstars in A Realm Reborn for sure, besides your own main character, Thancred had huge character development in my opinion. Uh, Nanamo had pretty good character development as well as Raoban. Minfilia was a great character. I thought she was probably one of my favorites. I actually really liked Minfilia. And then Alphino was probably he was the biggest punching bag for me. I fucked with him and picked on him the whole time, saying that he was a pompous little pretty boy and that he was arrogant and egotistical. But like the thing is Alphino probably had some of the best character development from the moment you encounter him to the moment that A Realm Reborn ends. And I'm really intrigued to see where his character goes and grows and becomes as the expansions go, especially with the events at the end of A Realm Reborn and how his character seems to be very distraught and shattered and defeated and had a real big ego check. I feel like that's going to leave a lot of room for his character to grow, and I think that's going to be great. And I'm very intrigued to see where he goes next whenever we go into Heavensward move forward. The Ascians were a great villain. I think that the concept of an immortal villain that even when you kill them, they can keep coming back unless you find a way to kill them permanently. I think that's really, really neat. And I think it's a nice spin on things. It's a good way to kind of rehash villains without making it be like, oh, Team Rocket's blasting off again, and they just like get away. No, you kill them, but they just are immortal. So I think it's really nice that they're able to do that kind of a story beat to keep their villains around that they don't want to have killed, but they want to have the player have a sense of accomplishment. So like when you beat La Habrea at the end of the main scenario quest, you're like accomplished. You're like, fuck yeah! Especially with like the ending, the blade of light thing, cool as shit. But then when you find out that he can't actually be slain, that's when you're like, oh fuck. We just fought our asses off and didn't kill him. And it brings it back of like it makes the threat more real. Especially because we still at this point in the story don't know 100% a foolproof way. Like the only Ascian we've killed, one of our members died in the process. R.I.P. Moon. But yeah, I mean, I can't gush. I could make a whole story itself over this. I mean, I could make a whole video itself on just the story if I wanted to. But I don't want this video to go on for too long. It's already gone on pretty long. So all in all, I think that this is a fantastic start to a journey. I can't wait to get into Final Fantasy XIV Heavensward. I can't wait to share the journey with everybody. If you've made it this far in the video, sorry it went a little bit longer than normal, but please consider, if you liked what you saw, like the video, comment below what your thoughts on it were. You know, if you're new to the game, I would love to hear your thoughts, or if you're an experienced game, I'd love to hear your thoughts of my thoughts, you know. Subscribe. I plan on posting all my VODs on here of the different playthroughs, the different videos, the different experiences that I'm having through Heavensward and beyond. And we do stream Monday through Friday, 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. Central Standard Time on my Twitch channel. Links in the description below. Final Fantasy XIV we do on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. I would love to see you guys there. But anyway, guys, thank you guys so much for your support and for joining me in this journey. I am so looking forward to seeing what Heavensward has in store for me. And I will see you guys in the next time. Peace out. Laters.